What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 9th shift of the Fourth Line Minutes podcast. I am your host, Chris Maselli from Locked On Avalanche. And with me this week and every week is Mr. Shaggy Von Doon himself, Kyle Sullivan. How are we doing today, my friend?
I'm making it best I can.
Ooh, what are you talking about? The oral surgery stuff you got coming up? First of all, I don't want to throw your business out there, but why? How come you have not gone to the dentist in so long?
I just it's one of those things that I had braces 15 years ago, and once I got those off, I was like, I'm done with the dentist. It was one of those. I'm like, I'm fine. I brush my teeth 2 to 3 times a day. Why do I need to go back? And then I got back into it. I was like, I'll go in, get cleaned, and get a checkup. And I went in, and they're like, oh, by the way, did you get hit in the mouth? I was like, maybe a long time ago. They're like, your tooth is like full of blood. We got to do a root canal on that.
Really?
Now. I'm like,
no.
So yeah.
So when you got to go back?
I'm expecting a call probably tomorrow about getting scheduled for a root canal.
So this is almost like an emergency one. It's going to be soon.
Yeah, they put me on.
I guess aren't all root canals kind of like they got to be done?
Yeah,
quick?
They have me on meds to try and tackle what's going on in the tooth, but they don't know how long it's been going on, and I'm not hurting, so they're like, we don't know if you're used to it or what, but.
Wow.
But they said your teeth are fine. You don't have any cavities to worry about. That's just your tooth needs to be worked on. I was like, okay.
Okay. All right. Well, lesson learned.
So next week I might be in here with a gold tooth. So
you might be Joe Pesci in Home Alone. Yeah. Well, I've never had one, so I can't say you'll be fine. I'm sure you will be fine, but I can't gauge the pain for you because we all have different pain thresholds, and I've never had it done to me, so I can't be moral support for you.
I'll be COVID tested and root canaled all in 2021.
And we're only in February, so it's gonna be a hell of a year for you. So all right. Today we are going to just give our take on the Super Bowl. We don't cover football too much on the show, hardly ever. So we both watched it, 90+ million people did. We'll kind of give our thoughts on it. Definitely talking about last week's WandaVision. Wow. Yeah. And that kind of gave you the idea of talking about the best return characters / twist endings, which we'll get into, and this can cover most anything, like you said, best returns for sports. We can definitely talk about that. I wrote down mainly movies for me, so I have some really good twist endings that I like.
I'm all over the map, so
okay, cool. And then I think we're going to get into, as far as our NHL talk today, it's kind of revolving around the COVID and is this season going to get finished? So we will discuss all of that and then some, and get to our simulation and our Taro, which will probably come on Friday, most likely. But follow the show on Twitter at Fourth Minutes. Follow on Instagram, search for Fourth Line Minutes. And then if you have anything you want to send to us in email form, fourthlineminutes@gmail.com is the email address for that. We haven't had a guest on this show yet, so maybe if you want to be a guest, we can welcome people in here for a segment or two. We'll work people in if you want to do that.
There's space on the bench. Lace them up. Get your minutes in. Let's go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So all right. So Super Bowl, you watched it? You watched it in full, or did you tap out a little early?
I tapped out at halftime.
Did you really that early?
Yeah.
Just because you thought it was over, or you're not a football guy and you didn't care?
Well, I'm a Titans guy. I'm a like bleeding heart Tennessee Titans fan.
Okay.
So I am invested in it. But
Hmm.
when I saw that, okay, Goodell's got Tom Brady getting another Super Bowl, I'm done with this.
So, and again, I don't dwell on refs or anything like that. It just seemed so one-sided
Yeah.
in terms of penalties, and the penalties that they were calling were so ridiculous. I was over at a friend's house, and I'm like, I was making the statement, how do you call that in the Super Bowl over and over again?
No.
And I shouldn't be saying that. You know what I mean? There were some weak sauce penalties being thrown around, and they were all of them in favor of Tampa Bay. And I am not a Tom Brady fan. I've made no bones about that. So when he gets calls over and over again, it just infuriates me even more. So, I mean, you can't take away the greatness of the guy. Doesn't mean I have to like it, but what was impressive was the way that they beat him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was not even a game, and you kept waiting for that Kansas City offense to wake up and score 21 points in 4 minutes, and it never happened. You know what I mean? Like, usually there's like ebbs and flows to football games where the team that started off hot, the other team figures them out, and then they start coming back, and then the other team makes it. It was just Tampa Bay the entire way.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
And Kansas City's got such a potent offense that you were expecting it. But when you saw just blatant drops and like and Mahomes with that turf toe, he was not himself. Like
No.
everything, you just were like, okay, Tom he's taking this one home tonight.
Yeah.
So.
And me being a Broncos fan and going up against the Chiefs twice every single year, I'm watching this and I'm like, why couldn't they play this way against Denver?
Yeah.
Like they had their worst game of the season in the Super Bowl, which you never expect a team who made it that far to lay an egg at that point in time. But they did. And I think I read somewhere that Patrick Mahomes ran around for 490 something yards.
Oh my God.
Like escaping Tampa Bay pass rush, the yards he did gain, all of that combined, he ran around the field for almost 500 yards, which is just shy of how much that streaker was able to.
Yeah, he was a treat.
Now the word on the street with him is he put money down on there being a streaker for the game. I shouldn't say streaker because he wasn't technically streaking. He put money down that somebody would run out onto the field. So he put money down on himself, basically.
That is, you got to bet on yourself in those moments.
Yeah. So, but the rumor is he put $50,000 on it down. So it wasn't just him. It had to be other people that got involved. And a lot of people are calling shenanigans on that because no bookie in their right mind would take a $50,000 prop bet.
Yeah.
None. So I will have to get confirmation if it actually happened, because if it did happen, he won like $350,000. So
that's a risky bet, though. Like usually,
but if you're the one doing it, if you know the outcome of it,
yeah,
not that risky.
I'm surprised a bookie would like an odds maker would take that with it being so easily influenced. You know?
Yeah. So we'll have to get we'll wait for the Snopes article to come out on that, and if it's legit or not. So, I thought, I don't know, halftime was lame. It's not my style of music, so I didn't really care for it all that much. And commercials were lame, like they will be from now until the end of time, because they tried too hard now on Super Bowl commercials to make them too funny, which they're not, or too poignant, and they go over the top with, like, you know, the somberness of like these commercials. It's just like commercials used to be where they was at for the Super Bowl, and they're not anymore. They stink.
This year it was either way too much, or you had entire companies just pulling out completely because of COVID, saying not this year. So you had, it was like, I think it was Budweiser, I think.
Well, I was just going to bring that up. What about the bait and switch by Budweiser?
Yeah.
Budweiser was like, we're pulling our ad money and donating it to, I don't know, either a COVID relief fund or something like that. But that didn't include Bud Light. Get out of here with that nonsense, Budweiser. You're full of it. You're not full of it. Come on.
All the commercials were terrible. And I think what everybody said was the best one, they released like a week early, the Wayne's World, Cardi B, the one everybody was talking about. It came out last week.
Yeah, and they all do now.
Yeah.
Like they release them all on NFL.com. That one was a week ago, I guess, like you said. But most of them are out to be seen 2 or 3 days before the Super Bowl. So the commercials have really lost their luster when it comes to the Super Bowl. And early ratings say it was down viewership in total. Not a ton, but it was still like 96 million, which is a lot of people, but it was down a good percentage from the year before. So I don't know. Yeah. We'll see where I think I've said for probably 3 or 4 years now, in 20 years, the NFL is no longer going to be the reigning king of American sports.
Yeah,
I just feel that way.
It's starting to level out. Yeah,
I think so. I think soccer moms are not going to want little Timmy to play football because of concussion risks, which is very real and very serious. So I think the interest in it is going to go down as years go on.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into our WandaVision for this week. Awesome episode.
Good surprises, unlike the commercials.
Very good. So so spoilers, by the way, because we're not going to really hold back. So
we're blowing the lid off this one.
Yeah. So the show continues to evolve. Like we've gotten away from those first couple episodes where it was back in the 50s in black and white. And the show just seems to keep progressing through the decades. And this last one was, what would you say? Maybe like 80s?
Yeah.
late 80s, early 90s ish.
Yeah, like Step by Step, Roseanne.
I was thinking Full House when they had that beginning montage with all the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we got some pretty good information in here, culminating in a great, great ending. So I guess we'll start at the ending, because for so long when Disney bought Fox, it was all because of X-Men.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically spent whatever it was, $74 billion really to get X-Men. They got a catalog that's, the size of the universe in addition to that. But it was really revolving around the MCU and how to get the X-Men into the MCU. And we really had nothing. They've given us nothing on how they are going to do that. Other than just saying, we will. Yeah. They own them now. It'd be stupid not to. So at the end of this episode, we get a knock on the door, and she opens it up. And I knew who it was immediately when the camera was back enough and you could see his head because he's got the silver hair. But then when they show him from the front and it's Fox's X-Men, you're like, here we go.
Yeah.
This is how we're introducing them.
I was literally sitting right here, and when that camera showed him from the front, I literally stood up and said, "We're here."
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's huge. That is huge. Like WandaVision will forever be known as the first place where it's not even I guess if you want to, people are going to call it a crossover, and I guess it kind of is, but I mean, now they are all under Disney's umbrella. So it's technically not, but it will forever be known as the first time we saw the acquisition in play.
And
it's a big deal.
And this traces back to all the hardcore comic book fans, in Captain America: Civil War, when Wanda and Pietro were introduced. They were introduced under those names of Wanda and Pietro. They were not referenced as Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver because they didn't have the rights to those names. And even up to this point, I think it was just this episode or the last episode, they said, does Wanda go by any other aliases? And they did not say Scarlet Witch still. So
they have not. But if you watch the trailers, there's a image of her
yes,
with that weird head thing on, which is a Scarlet Witch. So,
and it's a big deal because comic book canon, their parent, Wanda and Pietro, father, father is Magneto.
Yeah.
So this
Right.
is a big deal.
Yeah. So that was, you know, the big, what everybody's talking about, and it's warranted. It's awesome. We had talked about kind of halfway through the episode, Special Agent Rambo talking about a shelter she wanted to build because she's trying to get back into the town, and they've kind of figured out all of like the molecular structure of the town and what Wanda is doing in the town, which, by the way, is now brought into question if she's really controlling everything, because she made it seem like she's not. Vision is kind of onto her and what she's doing, and it kind of right towards the end, before the knock on the door, she kind of has this moment with him where she's like, you think I'm doing this? And you kind of like, oh wait, maybe she's not. So I think there's something more to her completely in control of this. She has some sort of control, definitely, but there's maybe some powers outside of her that are also controlling this. That is for probably future episodes. But when Detective Rambo is talking about trying to get back into the town, she says, well, maybe I can build a structure that is, and she rattles off all important scientific words. And she says, she goes, I know an aerospace engineer who can build it. And then she grabs her phone and acts like she's texting. Immediately it's a very like off the cuff, like it wasn't like a thing where it was focused on her saying that. Not that it was like, if you were just following the dialogue, you obviously heard her say it. Immediately my mind went to Reed Richards.
Yeah.
Immediately. Is that where yours went?
Oh yeah. We referenced the Fantastic Four reference a couple episodes ago, so now I'm like locked in on that. I'm like, are we also getting, because they were under the Fox umbrella as well, are we getting some Fantastic Four in here? And oh my goodness, if we get X-Men and Fantastic Four,
I know,
oh
dude.
my word,
I mean, this show is just going to be a vehicle for crossover content.
Is this one? I think you referenced it last episode. Is this the Grogu moment for WandaVision?
In what aspect?
The reveal that everybody starts losing their mind over and starts sharing and trending, and because you said, I don't
think so.
You've noticed that it didn't get that same social like buzz.
Right. No, but I don't think it's this, because I don't think Quicksilver as a character is in the realm of like, you know, Captain America, or Iron Man or anything like that. I think having him be, you know, played by the actor that was in the X-Men Fox movies, that's the big deal. I think what she was referencing was something much bigger, which could be Reed Richards. I don't think you might get the whole Fantastic Four, but you might get him, who is on par for comic book fans with the upper echelon Marvel characters.
I also I was thinking about this over the weekend. Being the time, like the 80s vibe.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with their choice in the Days of Future Past Quicksilver? Do those timelines match up?
Well, Days of Future Past was Chris Claremont run. Mm-hmm. In the 80s, I'm almost sure. I think that was the early 80s. I can look it up quickly, but
while you're looking that up, that is probably one of my most favorite scenes in all of cinema, is Quicksilver saving everyone to sweet dreams are made of this. That's like one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that movie was set about the same time that this Wanda episode was set, that Full House time.
Okay.
So him showing up to the doorstep with that timeline kind of matching, I wonder if that has some correlation.
Well, I thought Days of Future Past was early 80s, and it was 81. So it was a run in January and February 1981. And this was relatively early in the Chris Claremont run when he took it over, because he took it over with number 100. X-Men had gone from like 1 to like 60 something, and it was not. I mean, it wasn't hitting any buttons with the masses. Like, they were not taking to it. They were really good stories. If you read those early ones that like Jack Kirby wrote and everything, they were really good, but it just wasn't connecting with audiences. So they shelved it. And then for months, and then they came back with Chris Claremont at X-Men 100. So they skipped like 40 numbers. And when he took it over, it went. I mean, he did all of the big runs that you know of for X-Men, like the Phoenix, Dark Phoenix. He did, the Days of Future Past, like all of those are because of him. So that one was done in 81. So that was 141. So he had already done the Phoenix, which was like 120. So within those 20 issues, you have the Dark Phoenix and Days of Future Past, and people were like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I think getting back to this, I don't know. That's a good point. I didn't get an early 80s vibe I got more of like a late 80s, but that's true, man. That's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe it is.
Yeah, because if that's their way of justifying them not going with the Captain America Civil War actor for Pietro.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it'll be this. Next week is going to be very, very interesting.
Oh yeah,
I want to see where they go with this. So, one, because of him, and two, is that Reed Richards, who she's talking about, and that I think is what. I always want to say Ashley Olsen. I know it's not Ashley Olsen.
Elizabeth
is yes. That I think that's who she's referencing is Reed Richards. That would be cool.
That would be cool. Even though the movies have been terrible, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Fantastic Four. They are the original Avengers. Like,
yeah,
they're incredible.
Yeah, and even the X-Men movies in Fox, like they get panned because they were running the same time as like the awesome MCU movies, and they weren't up to par with those. But I thought they were good. I thought they were entertaining.
I love the original, like all the way up to X3. Oh, cannot get enough of those.
Were great. Like those were before really anything. It was them and like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And X2, in my opinion, is still the greatest comic book movie.
It's so good.
It's so good. So yeah, we'll see where this goes. But like we said in the beginning, you had the good idea of bringing up some good returns and twists in the world of entertainment. So give me one of yours. I guess we'll go back and forth. Give me one of yours, and then I'll give you one of mine.
One of my best returns in entertainment, and it's one of my favorite shows of all time, was Twin Peaks. They did the initial 2 seasons, and then a slight David Lynch reference at almost the end of season 2 is we won't look like this in 20 years. There's just like a slight offhand reference. Literally 20 years later, season 3 comes out.
Yeah.
And it was unexpected, out of left field, and explained literally nothing because that's David Lynch. But it's my favorite show of all time.
You know what I love about that show is the music.
Oh,
the music is that intro. I watched. It was one of those shows I always remember hearing about, and then it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not. I don't know if because season 3 went to Showtime, so I don't know if that did anything with if that made Netflix take it off of their streaming service or not. But years ago, I'm like, I saw it on there. I'm like, I always remember hearing about this show as a kid, so I started watching it, and I don't think it gave you the option then to skip over the intro like most shows do now. I don't think I ever would, because that music is so awesome, and just that blade that keeps like turning and sharpening. Like, I just watched that. you're just in a trance watching that happen in the music. It's awesome.
Yeah, me and my brothers, we used to work in the same metal fabrication shop, and every day it would rain. We would put that on the Bluetooth speaker, that intro, and it was
Oh god,
it was beautiful.
it's something out of like Final Fantasy VII for just that like ethereal music.
Yes,
and you always knew the scene within the show because there's music constantly in the show.
Yes,
and there's like 2 or 3 different music numbers that they have, and based on the music, you knew if it was going to be a bad scene or a good scene, or like a lighthearted, like the weird father who's always crying and dancing, and or if it was going to be something about her death. Bizarre show, but great show, man.
It's
great,
amazing
show. I came up with some that are like like twist endings and stuff like that. So I think I'll stick with the MCU because we're talking about it through WandaVision, and even though I'll just get this one out of the way, even though we knew it was going to happen, everybody coming back in Endgame.
Yeah.
The way that they you knew it was happening. Like there was no way they could win this war with, just Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, and Hulk, who wasn't even, he was not his old Hulk or his Hulk smashing everything. You knew these guys were coming back.
Yeah.
But it's all in the storytelling and how they did it, that to this day, dude, like I get chills watching that scene. Those 2 scenes to me, when Captain America wields Thor's hammer and the portal's coming back, are some of the best moments I've ever had sitting in a movie theater.
Absolutely.
So I think that is the key is like, even though your audience knows this is going to happen, how you tell it and how it happens still has that kind of effect, is genius writing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. That's a good one, man. That's
yeah. One. So, but I would just, that's one that everybody probably knows, but, so I just want to get that one out. But another twist ending, which really goes down as, maybe one of the best twist endings ever, is The Usual Suspects. If you've ever seen the movie The Usual Suspects. Yeah. So the whole Kaiser Soze thing, the movie, like you won't get all of the details of that movie in your first viewing. You might be a little bit confused, but the more you watch it, the more you pick up on little details, not about who he is, just about what the hell is going on. It just, the movie itself gets better and better and better, but the ending never gets old.
Yeah,
ever. If you've ever seen it, it's spectacular.
That's a good, that kind of like works with like how my number 2, it's also a movie and it's also got a twist in it. You ever seen the Clue movie?
I've never seen that movie.
Okay, there's a little interesting story to it. It's absolutely fantastic. Like, you might think it's based on a board game, it's going to be lame. It's absolutely incredible, and it's one of those whodunit, kind of like Knives Out. But you get to the end, and then they show you how the murder happened. But in the theatrical release, there were like 8 different endings, and each theater got a different ending.
Are you serious?
So everybody would get out of the theater and they're like, yeah, I can't believe that happened. They're like, what are you talking about? No, this is how it happened. And then that's how they created buzz. And then when you watch it now, I think you can watch it on Amazon Prime, but it has all the endings to Clue in the final version. But yeah, it's such a good movie.
Cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like the twist that you think you're right, but then you go talk to your friends who also saw it and they got a different ending. So that's the twist that, like, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that about them. I never heard that. I should probably go watch that movie. That seems like a pretty fun movie.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Wow. All right. I got, how many more you got? Because I got 2 more.
I got 2 more.
Okay. Another ending for me for movies is the movie The Others. And if you saw the movie with Nicole Kidman, It's a movie that takes place during, I think it's World War One, and she is in it's like a haunted house type of movie, and her kids see like this one kid that they keep calling Victor, and it's just the setting of it. The entire movie takes place in this mansion of a house that she's living in with her two little kids and like the people who work for her. There's three people who work for her that do the cooking and cleaning and, you know, landscaping and everything. And it's a creepy movie just because, yeah, it's like this old school house, haunted house. Who is this kid that's running around that the mother can't see? And then a massive twist at the end.
Ooh.
And it's a little bit messed up when you're really, once you get over the shock of the twist, why it's a twist. The first time I wasn't paying attention to it. The first time I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And then when I bought it, when it came out on DVD and watching it, I'm like, I missed that. After they reveal the big twist, the dialogue that follows is pretty messed up. And then you watch it again and you're like, oh my God, like the way the movie starts, the very first scene plays off the end of the movie. Might be a little confusing. Watch it. It's awesome. Wow. Very well acted. One of my favorite movies featuring Nicole Kidman.
I want to check that out.
Yes, very good.
Very good. My number 3 is 3 and 4 are kind of out of left field, but just ride with me. 3 is the twist kind of in the Pink Panther movie with Steve Martin.
Say what?
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
no.
It's goofy. It's like it's a very terrible comedy. It's just not that great, but like you go through it, and then Steve Martin as Inspector Clouseau is sitting down, and he talks to this gentleman, this informant who speaks nothing but French, and everybody doesn't understand him at all. Yeah. But he literally tells the answer to the movie, and Steve Martin just happens to know French in that moment. And he takes everything in, and the rest of the movie, like everything's all fitting together. And they're like, how in the world did you know? They're like, oh yeah, the informant told me, but everybody else had no earthly idea what he was saying at the time. But it was right there the whole time. That little twist, I was like, okay, like this movie was pretty rough, but like that was pretty good. That was, and if you ever get the chance, when you get done watching all of Twin Peaks, the others, everything else we recommend, and you're at the bottom of the recommended, watch Pink Panther with Steve Martin. With Yuri, the trainer who trains.
I think that's the first time that movie's ever been, recommended by anybody.
I like some Steve Martin now, so.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, so for me, my number one twist of an ending all time for movies is a movie called Arlington Road. Came out in, let me look it up. It came 1999 it came out. Has Jeff Bridges in it, has Tim Robbins in it, has Joan Cusack in it. Those are kind of like the main players. So basically, Tim Robbins and Joan Cusack are a married couple. They move in across the street from Jeff Bridges, who is he teaches at a college, and he teaches kind of like psychology, and almost like psychology of terrorists is like kind of what he teaches. As the movie goes on, just so happens he starts thinking his new neighbors in Tim Robbins and Joan Cusack are domestic terrorists, and he just kind of starts not going mad, but thinking that there's something wrong with these people, but nobody really starts to believe him. Like he's trying to tell people like there's something wrong with these people. It's one of those things where it's just like nobody,
like a Rear Window kind of thing.
Yeah. And the ending, dude, is I can't even like describe it. I can by ruining it, which I do not want to do, because people need to see this movie it is not your typical ending for a movie. And I've read up on it, and this was years ago after I watched it. I don't remember why I watched it. And I remember seeing the ending, and I'm like, I can't believe that just happened. And then I would like read up on it, and it was like the studio tried to get the director to change the ending because they were like, it's too much for people.
Whoa.
And he's like, I'm not doing it. This is the story that I'm telling. And I think he might have, don't quote me on this, but he might have even went to a different studio to get it made because he was dead set on not changing it. It to this day, I think about that movie and how it ends, and it just blows me away. You never ever see it coming.
That's incredible.
It's kind of an under the radar movie, but Arlington Road, it's fantastic.
Well, mine is a personal return twist, and it's again left field and goofy. Every year I'm the oldest of 9 kids, and like the first 6 of us are boys. So every year we like to get together for WrestleMania parties. And just a couple years ago for WrestleMania 34, the Hardy Boys returned after like a decade with 0 announcement. They just like showed up, and it's one of those moments like on its face, it's like, okay, that's cool, they came back or whatever. But that moment sharing it with like my brothers and the crowd reaction is one of those moments I don't think I'll ever forget. And it's one of those like 30-second YouTube, like watch their reaction moments.
Okay.
It's absolutely incredible. And it's like for return twist, just off the wall, not something that everybody would pick. And it has a lot of like personal memories with me. It was a very, very cool moment.
What did it return to? What was it on?
They came back. Like they weren't wrestling with WWE for like over a decade. They were in all these different companies, and they just showed up to WrestleMania 34. Just
out of WrestleMania.
Yeah,
really.
And the thing was, they wrestled the night before for another company. So in your mind, you're like, like they wrestled over here, and you had no idea that they would be at WrestleMania 30.
And did they return for good for a while after that, or it was just like a one-off? They came back.
They came back, won the titles, and stayed on the show for at least another year or two.
Really?
It was.
I was never big into, like, I mean, I was interested as a kid, but like I paid attention to it and stuff as the years went on. But for some reason they annoyed me. It was never. I don't know why. But yeah.
We all had like the belts, and well, as you can see, I've had the belts.
Yes.
They were a family favorite of ours. So when they came out, that music hit after 10 years. We were jumping all over that living room, like, oh my god, I can't believe
that's awesome. That is exciting. I will say, as far as like returns for television shows, I have just started season 3 of Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
bro, man, like I grew up on Karate Kid. All 3 of them, grew up on them.
I've been hearing a lot of people talk about how good that show is.
If you are a Karate Kid fan, even if you're not, you can still enjoy it. It's still a really good show. But all of the references and the nostalgia factors is off the charts when you watch this thing. Like it's I know Karate Kid, especially 1, like inside and out. And there are some moments in there that they'll just make like a subtle nod to it. And I'm picking up on everything. I'm loving every minute of this. There's a ton of karate in it too. Like, you know, in the original movies, like the big karate moments were left for the end. There is karate through this entire thing. And the way season 2 ends is almost laughable. But you excuse it. It's fine.
You said it's on Netflix? Because I know it started out on YouTube.
First 2 seasons were on YouTube, and then Netflix picked it up and did a 3rd season on Netflix. I know it's greenlit for a 4th season, so there'll be at least 4. It's fantastic, dude. It is fantastic. So there's a good amount of shows for people to watch that we just threw out there.
Hope you guys are taking notes,
man. All right, so let's move into our NHL talk, and basically it's Not going to be anything that's on the ice because they're pulling teams off of the ice.
Yeah.
Like it seems like left and right, teams and players. So COVID is ravaging the NHL right now. And I'm to the point of, is this season going to get completed? I'm kind of on the fence with it right now. We are Avalanche fans. The Avs got shut down for a week, minimally. And there's other teams that are just, the Wild had another player added to their list, which brings their total to 12. They're starting to catch up to the Devils, who are up to, I think, 17, or have they added any more in the past
19.
couple of days? They're up to 19 now. This is getting crazy. This is getting absolutely crazy. So what's your take on it? Do you have faith that this season is going to end successfully?
I think it's just going to be one day at a time. I think they're going to try and push it as far as they can and kind of get an idea on what's our finish line? How many games could we possibly fit in? And start just eliminating teams. Like, okay, you're mathematically eliminated from the playoff contention. Just stay home and make up games. I do not want to be Gary Bettman right now. He has a serious issue on his hands. Was not extremely well thought out.
Which shocks the hell out of me, man. Like, you kept hearing how they were prepared for every scenario. And you were like, yeah, I believe that you are, because what you did with bubble hockey was great.
Yeah.
So you had all the faith in the world that what they were preparing for the upcoming season was 100% on the level. And it's not. It's like they have no clue what to do with these things. And they're just doing, oh, this guy, how we are Avalanche fans. And we want the Avalanche to play as many games as possible. How that entire team is not shut down. And you have 3 guys on the Avalanche who are on the COVID list. You just played 3 games against a team who has 12 guys on the list.
Yeah.
That math is off.
That's why Buffalo's sat right now, because they had that series with New Jersey. And that was their complaint to Gary Bettman is, hey, we're in this position because of New Jersey. You not shutting them down. Now we're having to put players on our list. That's why the Sabres are shut down, because of the Devils.
And for the Avalanche, after a week, you still don't know if those guys could show up, once you return to the ice. So they could show up positive then. It's just so I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. The Avalanche, might get back on the ice on Sunday against Vegas, and they might not get another weekend because all these other guys are now going to start showing up positive.
Yeah.
And we're going to go round 2 with having to wait another week to play. It's baffling to me.
It's a logistical snafu, because where are they coming in contact with it? Like what is going on?
Well, I think it's twofold. It's you're getting it contracted on the ice for sure. You're bringing it back to your bench, and then so the first guy in the Avalanche that got it was Tyson Jost. Tyson Jost is 22 years old. A lot of 22-year-olds don't want to sit in the house and not do anything. So, I'm not saying Tyson Jost is a stupid guy. I think he's a smart guy, but he got sick of hanging around in his house and went somewhere he shouldn't have went. Maybe went to a friend's house or something like that. And that's all it takes. Who knows? I'm just, throwing out whatever, but I don't know, man. It's not good.
No,
it's not a good look. And I think all of this is happening in the first month of the season, and it's this bad. So what's going to happen at the end of February? I think it's just going to be just as bad. Unless you shut it down for, a couple weeks, just shut everybody down. I think it's just going to continue to happen.
I mean, would that not be a terrible idea?
No.
Play 2 series and then shut down a week, and then test. Everybody passes. Play 2 more series, shut down a week.
Yeah, it's not awful. I don't know. And then you're the NWHL guy, which I feel so bad for that league, dude. I feel it kills me because they had a good thing. They had a lot of momentum in fandom and interest. And I don't think that'll go away. I think, the people that, who are now turned on to that league will stick around for next year. But just the whole thing with, having their tournament on NBC Sports was huge.
Yeah.
And I was so looking forward to that. And I think it was the day before, wasn't it? Or was it the day of?
Yeah, it was
that
the
they shut it
day
down?
before.
It was the day before. They canceled the whole thing. And it's almost like you saw the writing on the wall because all these teams were playing in the same arena. I don't know if they were all staying in the same hotel, but 2 teams backed out. So your final 4 was pretty much picked for you. And when those 2 teams backed out, you kind of were like, well, I think it's just a matter of time. And it was. And that was it.
It was one of those that once the Riveters backed out and then the Whale backed out, it was one of those looking into what's going on here.
Yeah.
Come to find out, like NWHL, we're not financially set up to be a legitimate quote unquote bubble. It was more of a restricted zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was even a loose term.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the mental image of a bubble burst, no pun intended, everybody's like, okay, maybe this is not as safe as we anticipated. Maybe we were promised one thing and it actually turned out to be another.
Yeah.
And everybody's just like, for the sake of the game and for the sake of our health, because a lot of these ladies had to go home to jobs and families. It's nothing to take back, and it affects their household. Like, they just said, okay, everything's great. I understand we're about to be on NBC, but this is a little bit out of control and not as a controlled of an environment as they were promised. Right. So they just shut the whole league down, and we'll come back for season 7.
Yeah, I mean, smart thing to do. So hopefully, I think if they were going to give it to them this year, the airtime on NBC, I have no reason to believe that they won't do it again next year. So
on USA.
That's true, on the USA Network. So, which apparently has more viewers than NBC Sports. So
that's where Monday Night Raw is.
And the Hardy Boys.
Hey.
All right. Start the simulator if you haven't done so already.
I have it up.
Okay. And so you have a champion?
I do have a champion.
Okay. So before we get to that, we'll throw out the social media lines once again. 4th Minutes on Twitter. Follow over there. 4th Line Minutes on Instagram. And let us know your favorite returns from shows or characters or athletes or favorite twist endings, because there's so many. We could have went on and on and on, man.
Oh,
I'm sure, I'm going to be thinking of some in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And then when my son wakes up at 3 a.m, I'm going to text you, I remembered this one. So let us know, because I always love hearing that stuff. Taro will most likely be released on Friday. I think we're going to record that on Thursday night. I think we got some time then. And I got to turn his season around. He's got to turn his career around.
Yeah,
he's hurting.
He's having a rough time. Given one shift, and your coach literally tells you score 3 points. He's having a bad time in Anaheim.
It is. I mean, there's some people who think like nothing is impossible. That is impossible to score 3 points in a single shift. Cannot be done.
Jason Statham is not a good hockey coach.
No, I'm losing faith. I think he should be fired. I think we should get a call for him to be fired. That's why Taro's not doing well. So, all right. So stay tuned for that. So, okay. Let's see. Who am I going to go with for our simulation? Who was it? Who won? Didn't like Winnipeg win it last week? I'm trying to remember who the hell it was. I don't remember who it was, but or maybe in Maple Leafs or something like that. I think it might have been Toronto. I have to go back and check. So I think, which by the way, not to talk about that, but You know who's not having a problem with COVID? The Canadian teams.
Funny how that happens.
And
that's a whole come back for shift 10.
Yeah.
And I'll bring my soapbox.
Yeah. Just to throw that out there. So having said that, I think we're going to go Canadian. And I will say Vancouver and Montreal.
Well, you had Ottawa representing in the playoff, but
Wait, they didn't make the cup.
No, they actually got beat by the Stanley Cup champion.
Oh, all right. What's our Stanley Cup final?
You have the Nashville Predators.
Okay.
And the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Wow.
Going to 7 games. And Tampa wins.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's
all right.
The Avalanche made it all the way to the conference finals and lost to the Predators. So.
And does how many games are now?
Yeah, they lost in 5.
In 5. Ooh, they got not swept, but they got run over basically.
Because I love this that I get to see the individual awards. Evgeny Malkin, Art Ross. The Heart, Nathan McKinnon.
My boy. All right, at least he gets in video form. I can accept that.
Morgan Riley wins the James Norris.
Come again?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Nikita Kucherov wins the Lady Byng. Again, Kirill Kaprizov wins the Calder.
Okay.
Victor Hedman with the Conn Smythe. Andrei Vasilevsky wins the Vezina.
Okay.
The Masterson. The Selke goes to Ryan O'Reilly. Ted Lindsay goes to Nate. But,
okay. Does he give the Jack Adams?
Jack Adams. Yes, I think I did stuff. Jack Adams. Maybe. Maybe not.
Doesn't.
I don't see it.
That's all right. We'll just give the Bednar.
Yep, Bednar.
He got it.
I think it's because I don't think they have the coaches' names and likenesses in this game.
They don't really?
Oh, trust me, no. Because whoever they put behind the bench for Bednar is not Bednar.
Oh, really? Okay. I'll take your word for that.
He looks like Sir Topham Hatt from Thomas the Tank Engine. It's embarrassing.
Oh, that's funny. Like in girth too. Like
he's
Scotty Bowman style. Like.
Yeah, he's enjoying that Denver food. I can tell you that.
Too many Rocky Mountain oysters. All right. Well, Tampa Bay, I can live with that. They're a good team. So, all right, that'll be it for today, everybody. Come back next week. We'll crown another champion. Can Tampa Bay make it 2 in a row in the virtual world?
We haven't had a back-to-back yet.
We have not had a back-to-back champion yet. So we shall see. So that'll be it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again. You can find me on Twitter, LOPN_Avalanche. You can find Mr. Kyle Sullivan at
Shaggy Von Doom on Instagram and Twitter, and Shaggy Von Doom 13 on Twitch.
There you go. Follow the man on Twitch. All right, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.